Welcome to Let's Talk Under the Tree. What's up, T Smalls?
What's going on, Mr. Palmer? How you doing today, sir?
Glad to see you. Give me some ice water real quick. Go ahead and hit it.
Let's talk under the tree.
We got Mr. Fred all the way from Texas, Mr. Austin, Texas, that is. Some folks call him Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho. What's up, Mr. Fred?
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Glad you can make it out here with us tonight. We're going to have a pretty good time, get into some hot, discussions about what's going on in your life and your past life, some experiences that you faced, along the lines of interracial marriage, interracial dating. You do have one daughter, right? I think you do.
One biological and one step, but the step is my daughter.
Yes, sir. And we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. You can keep it real on here with us. However, as real as you want to go. We'll go all the way to the bottom of the smoke barrel, which it don't matter with us.
All right.
You talking under the tree.
There's a lot to say, so I'll try to abbreviate as best I can.
No, it ain't no abbreviation. We like the real. Am I right, Mr. T Smalls?
Oh, yeah, we on the real, man. We up under the tree.
And if they don't like it, T Smalls, what you going to say? Go ahead and do it one time.
Who is you?
All right. I know you about, if you don't mind me saying your age, you're about 57 or so, something like that, right?
You're ready to be 58 in September.
Yeah. And I know you was involved with an interracial marriage. And I'm sure you've seen some things, and the temperamental was going on in the United States. How long ago were you in that interracial marriage? How many years passed? And we're going to bring it forward if it's still the same thing that goes on today.
I was married back in 83. We divorced in 95. But all my relationships since then have been interracial.
Right.
So.
Okay. Back in the 80s, was the temperament of the racial undertone worse back then, or is it the same now?
It was more overt. It was definitely more overt. If you don't mind, at the time, I came in the Air Force in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, some of this I already spoke upon for a military banquet or a luncheon for the Arabia Court. When I came into the Air Force, I was prejudiced, very prejudiced, actually. And then they cut your hair, put you in the same clothes, and we started to, see people for who they were as people. And I thought back on somebody that I regarded highly back in high school was my band director. And by the way, he's Black. Now, if I could revere him, why can't I do that for everybody else? It's make it simple. You're a good person or you're not a good person. It's cut away the color. Unfortunately, in this world now, you cannot, but I try, but it's what started me opening my mind and being receptive to things. My first duty station in Indiana, it was a really good test. I had a roommate, still remember his name, Alan Ray Sims from Detroit. He was admin and I was maintenance. I worked night shift, he worked day shift. He would come in during the day, middle of the day, while I was trying to sleep, playing music that at the time he really didn't get into, and then waking me up. But I made it through it and I treated him like a person. And then subsequently, I met my future ex-wife. And then we had Aaron. And we went overseas to Korea. And it was a bit of a problem there. People didn't know me, so they would say things in front of me not knowing, and there was racism. I missed out on a promotion in the Philippines because of it, what blew me away was there was people, positions higher than me, that were not cool with it, and yet and still they were married to Filipinos with Filipino American children. And more power to them, but how can you differentiate? You can when you're a racist. You compartmentalize and make it all good for yourself. But we experienced it there, most definitely. I had friends, people that I could trust. Some of them were still friends today. going back, I mean, there's childhood friends that I have nothing to do with anymore because they couldn't evolve. There's a couple that are still my good friends, and all they cared about was my happiness. You know, they didn't get caught up in that. And going back to, this wasn't something that was taught to me by my parents. My dad, God rest his soul, when I got married, never had anything negative to say about it. And mom wasn't cool with it, but later on in life, she ended up dating a black man.
Wow.
We'll get to that later.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? We'll get to that later. God rest her soul. But we'll get to that later. But so, you know, there was troubles, problems. And we did the best we could. Obviously, with more of our friends, family friends, were black. I mean, it's just the way it was when you're overseas in the Philippines, and it just kind of, there's separation. This is back in the 80s now, of course. Military back then. But it's been a constant evolving process. You know, I honestly didn't really have the best understanding still until I got here after I retired from the military, and I worked with some people in light construction on the north side. And that's when I really got to see people in that area, how they lived, and talking to them, and it helped me to understand some things. And when I was young, I would go to friends' parents' house for dinner. They would throw the N-word and worried about other people besides themselves when they needed to worry about themselves. And topics back then, like I said, you know, I'm giving you a perspective of how I was then and how white people are. I don't speak for all white people, obviously. But I mean, we were worried about, well, why is he driving such a nice car and living in such a ratty house? You know, first of all, it's none of our business. You know, if that's what you choose, I mean, more power to you. Who am I to question that? But I mean, I should be worrying about my business and my, you know what I'm saying, of my family and not other people, you know, and it took a long time to get through that. I mean, actually, the last couple of days, I've deleted some people off Facebook.
Wow.
One of them is a big NASCAR nut. Great guy. Well, he was. Great roommate, great flight engineer. And then I see him complaining about the rebel flag being taken away from him. Now I don't want to go. Okay, I mean, I may cuss, and I apologize if I do.
No,
God,
speak your mind, man.
Oh yeah,
you
speak
know,
your mind.
You don't get it, and that's the problem I see with a lot of people in America that happen to be the same skin tone. They want to make it about them fucking selves, and they have no idea what other people are going through. You know, because then you start seeing the meme changing Cracker Jack to Caucasian Jack. It's not about you. Aunt Jemima has been a racist symbol, staring and glaring at the black community since its inception. But corporate America said, you know what? It's okay. Oh, now it's not okay. That should have been done a long time ago. Uncle Ben. And I mean, we can go on and on and on.
Yeah.
They don't understand it. They don't get that. They think they're being attacked. So now they've got, well, if this is this, then this is this. It's like, no. I just put something on my Facebook page. It's an ACLU lawyer breaking down timeline in America versus Confederate monuments.
Right.
Most of them came out from the 1900s and past. The Nathan Bedford Forrest Monument or bust that's in the Tennessee State Capitol, that was put there in 1970. How is that heritage?
Wow.
How is that heritage? Southern heritage. No, what that is what it is. It's racism, and it's promoting that. And it's forcing the people that were brought here against their will initially, okay, to look at that every damn day of their lives. And we talk about these idiots and say, well, go back to Africa. That's not where you're from.
Yeah.
Your bloodline goes back there. That's not where you're from. You're an American.
Yeah.
I mean, the same could be said, go back to Europe.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. They're too selfish. They can't open their mind. And you hit a hot topic with me. Trust me.
Right.
It really upsets me because sometimes I just don't know how to articulate. And plus, I was like them. But I changed. I opened my mind. And that seems to be the problem is a lot of them, there's not going to be change in any minds because that's all they know. And they don't They just don't want to open their mind. They want to make it about them. It's disgusting. And to be honest with you, just like in the masonry, you know how the older white masons have died out, and finally we're all starting to unify.
Right.
It's going to be the same thing. And I mean, I hate to say it, but as those older white racists die off, less and less are going to be there to filter down that garbage to the younger people. And a lot of the younger generation, fortunately, has a brain enough to look past that.
Right.
Some of them, you just can't. It doesn't matter what you say. They're not going to understand, and they're not going to listen.
Let me ask you this here. You stated earlier that when you was in the Air Force, some of your colleagues dated Filipino women. That's of a different race, and to me, that's still interracial. Yeah.
And Koreans. I mean,
yeah, that's interracial.
Whatever country.
Yeah, 1 second. And to me, that's still interracial. Yeah. But you, on the other hand, dated an African American woman. They consider that the biggest threat to mankind, but they're doing the exact same thing. What do you think the big deal was? What was the problem with that?
Honestly, I mean, it's. I'd have to go back inside and think about how I used to be, right. And I could only say that they probably felt it was wrong. It was against God. I mean, that's the best I can come up with. Mm-hmm. I mean, I doubt that they were. I mean, I don't know. I can't, say for sure, but I mean, I doubt that it was that they were jealous or anything like that. It was probably that they felt it was morally wrong, and I had no business doing that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I went through some hell. We both did.
Right.
Yeah.
You remind me of that movie, Look Who's Coming for Dinner, by the actor Sidney Poitier. I don't know if you've seen that movie. You know what I'm talking about. So
I'm familiar with the movie, but I haven't actually seen it. Yeah.
Yes. I think in the movie, the character was dating Sidney Poitier, and she brought him home. But anyways, when you brought your wife home to your mom around your family, how was that experience?
We never got that opportunity.
Oh, wow.
We were overseas, and then Dad passed away in '86. I actually had to hop from the Philippines back to Austin, and I had to leave Beverly there. That's Aaron's mom's name.
Okay.
And so Dad passed away, and then when I went back, our marriage went south, and I'll be nice to her about that. Let's just say our marriage went way south. So
right.
Separated, and I mean, Aaron was able to meet her grandparents on our side before they passed away. And, she did spend time with my mom, and my mom, of course, that's her granddaughter. So, she accepted her, but she had some misgivings about it. But like I said, later on in life, there was somebody she worked with in the state of Texas. He really cared about her, and he was Black. And she finally gave in and dated him. But unfortunately, she just couldn't overcome. She was born in the 30s, lived in Kentucky on a farm. And it was very hard for her to get past a lot of the stuff that was instilled in her. But at least she tried. I give her that. God rest her soul. I mean, she, we buried her a couple of months back. So, but
sorry
at least
to hear that.
oh, thank you. She's in a better place, but at least she opened her mind and tried. I give her that. She tried.
Good.
But they never, like I said, they never got to meet Aaron's mom, and honestly, at this point, I'm glad they didn't. Aaron doesn't even speak to her anymore. So,
wow. Smalls,
another time.
Okay, Smalls, I want to ask you a question. In your opinion, that Mr. Fred dated an African American, and some of his colleagues dated a Korean or Filipino. Why is there a double standard when he dates an African American? Do you think that's a problem? Because actually, that's still an interracial marriage.
Yeah, it's still considered an interracial marriage. Doesn't matter which culture it is or whatever. It should not be a double standard. Either way, you got to look at a person from inside their heart, man. And like we been hearing around the country, man, we all need to be transparent and accept one another for who we are, man, and not just because what culture we from, our skin color, and nothing like that. So it shouldn't be no double standard. It should be accepted around the board.
Now, moving along to your daughter, Mr. Fred, she's biracial. So, have you ever experienced racism when you guys are riding around, or she's by herself, she's getting teased and picked on by other kids?
She was pretty fortunate that she didn't have many of those experiences, but You know, when Beverly left, took her and went back to the States, it was a while before I got back. And I guess we have to dredge up some dirty laundry. Beverly used to make it very difficult for me to get to Erin, even when I come back to the States. But she, you know, Erin was pretty protected. Her side of the family, great people, wonderful people, very accepting. And, you know, they protected Erin too. Erin really didn't have, you know, in our talks, never really brought up anything significant that bothered her interracially. But then again, I mean, Erin has basically, you know, her family's black and she's considers herself black, and that's fine by me. Her husband, she just got married, is black, great guy. And she has never had a lot of complaints. You know, when she went to college at Florida State, her roommate went to FAMU, and you know, they were all together. They stuck together. So she really never, I'm sure there is, but she's never brought it to my attention, you know?
Right. In Jacksonville, Florida, do you think it's a common thing that you see more interracial couples now, or still the stigma? Do you still get looks frowned upon, nose turned up against, and so forth?
Sometimes, I mean, like I said, it's more underneath. It's not as overt anymore. You know, it just depends. I mean, you know me, and you know
Yes.
people I hang out with,
Yeah. Yes.
and where I hang out.
Right.
So it's more accepted there than if I were, you know, anywhere else. I don't know how to exactly say that, but it's
right.
I've been a Prince Hall Mason now since 1996, and all my friends except a couple, like, you know, or so, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, are Prince Hall Masons, and I mean, let's let it out. They're black. I mean, and that's just
what it is.
It is what it is. So that side, I will tell you this: black folks are more accepting.
Yeah.
Definitely more accepting. Like my in-laws, great set of people. I mean, always been decent to me. You know, never a problem with them. I'll tell you real quick about when I became a Mason. I'll make it real quick if I can.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Grandfather passed away in '94. I inherited his stuff. I have his ring still to this day. Then I went to my squadron in Charleston and said, hey, I want to be a Mason. You know, my grandfather was a great man. I want to try. Everybody said, well, you got to be a white Mason. Okay. I don't know no different. So the first guy I found, he's like, yeah, to be a Mason, you got to be free, white, and 21. And I was like, okay, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
That's not what I want.
Yeah.
Then a loadmaster in my squadron, he said, well, you know, I belong to one of the oldest lodges in the United States. Of course, the White Lodge, Mainstream.
Right.
George Washington Lodge number 5 said, you know, I'll sponsor you. So I petitioned them, and they came to my house to do the investigation, and I showed them a picture of Erin. And I said, hey, will this be a problem? Oh, no, not at all. It was a problem. So came the night I was supposed to get my first degree. I showed up, and they said, well, Fred, there's a problem. I said, oh, really? What's going on? Of course, I don't know nothing about masonry.
Right.
They said, well, somebody that was on the investigation committee wasn't supposed to be on it, so we're going to have to redo your investigation. Now, knowing what we know now, we know that's bullshit right off the bat.
Yeah, right.
Because you brought your investigation back and the lodge voted. It's done.
Right.
But me, did not know, and I gave it a week, and I said, you know, these Mason fellows have been around for a while. I said, something ain't right about this. So I called this worshipful master fellow, who was a load master in the reserves.
Right.
And I said, you know, I don't feel comfortable about this. Something ain't right. And I just like my money and my application back. And his response, I shit you not, told me everything I need to know. And this is what he said. Okay. That's all he said. He didn't try to ask me why. He probably was doing this.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the load master that was sponsoring me, they never could give him a straight answer. He quit. And thank goodness this happened, because I wouldn't be a Mason today had I gone in and seen that. So I went to my brothers, my future brothers. I said, look, I just want a shot, you know? So I petitioned Ancient Square 174 in Goose Creek, South Carolina.
Right.
And this lodge had been in existence since like the 30s. I was the first white brother ever to petition them.
Wow.
You know how it works with one black ball. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But guess what? They accepted me. What does that say?
Wow.
First
Wow.
white brother to petition that lawn, and they accepted him. That told me something right there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and
Right.
they gave me the opportunity, you know. And then I went to, next jurisdiction with, going with the Air Force. And I mean, there was some times, I mean, like in Georgia, my senior warden threatened my life, because he felt that I was young and white. I shouldn't have been worship master. He should have. Uh, but we made it through it, you know. And
That's
but
good,
other than
man.
that, I mean, here in Jacksonville, people have been very decent to me. I mean, when my mom died, the outpouring of love. It just goes to show, though, if you try to be a decent person and work hard with what you do, people respect you for that, and that's what it's all about for me. I don't want to try to prove that I'm better than anybody, but I'm me. I've always talked like this.
Hmm.
I don't talk any different than I've always talked for the most part. I mean, if I start talking to someone
Right.
from Texas, the
Yeah,
drawl may
right.
come out a little bit, but other than
Right.
that, what you see is what you get, you know?
Yeah. Do you think you could ever date a white woman? Because you've been with this chocolate city for a long time.
I don't want to be reversed. I mean, I recognize beauty
Hmm.
um, in any, form, fashion, or whatever, but let's be honest, we all have our preferences.
Right, right.
I
Right.
mean, and my preference is not to date within my race. Not to say
Okay.
that there may be somebody out there that surprises and shocks me, but I'm just going with what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I'm comfortable with is interracial dating, or interracial relationships, as it will be.
How do you feel about that, Smalls?
Oh man, if he comfortable in his own skin, why not, man? I mean, he's with the woman he want to be, man. You know what I'm saying? He don't see nothing versus, color. He's being, he's transparent about a lot of stuff. He went through things, a lot of us went through stuff, things of that nature, man. So, hey man, I'm all for it, man. We should never be judged by, what culture we involve ourselves with. We should just be judged as people.
Yeah. Mr. Fred, what do you think about the George Floyd situation? Keep it real, uncut it, say
Sure.
how you feel.
Well, and looking at posts from both sides of the fence, because as a Mason, I've got the mainstreams on my page that have friended me, as well as Prince Hall brothers and
Hmm.
some irregulars, of course. God love them.
Hmm.
But to see what they put out there, and it's like, well, let's look at. He's not the greatest person. It's like, so what you're saying is that because of this and that, then he should have died. I mean, it was wrong.
Okay.
I mean, you look. I didn't even have to look at all the angles. I mean, just the one. You have your knee on somebody's neck. He can't breathe. He tells you he can't breathe. He's already been restrained. And I'm tired of this. What do they call it? Comply bullshit.
Hmm. Right.
I'm tired of that shit.
Right. That's
You
right.
know, yes, there's situations where it could have been de-escalated, but I'm just saying he was compliant. He was on the ground, handcuffs on behind his back. There was
Correct.
no
Right.
need for that. I mean, that was just when I started looking back at what has happened over the years. Maybe it's that the fact that we have easy access to cell phones that nowadays just more of it's being recorded. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's either increased or we're just seeing it. We're just capturing it more, but it's wrong.
It
I
is
mean, you
wrong.
see this. You could be on Facebook watching these videos about policemen for months. And I mean, you and I know some nobles that are police, and I
Okay.
respect them.
Right.
A good
Hmm.
friend of mine is going to retire from law enforcement, and I respect them. But there's others that they don't deserve the respect. I mean, I don't believe defunding is going to help anything, but they need to train. Their screening needs to be changed. Their training needs to be changed because some of these people are getting through, and they're bullies and
Hmm.
Right.
racists, and they
I
abuse the
agree.
power. I mean, when I was 17 in Austin, me and my friend were out one night, and he stopped, and I was trying to sneak over to a girl's house. cops went by, and then they turned around, and because I fit the description of some white guy with a white T-shirt, and I had, I think it was 2 or 3 shotguns and a couple pistols pulled on. You know, doesn't, and I'm not saying that equates to what anybody else has been through. I'm just telling you this happened to me, and it was shocking, but it also helped me understand what it feels like. That's wrong. I can't say that because I'm not black and I'll never be black, but I can empathize with something that somebody may have gone through similar, although I wasn't thrown to the ground, handcuffed and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? I mean, once they figured out that they had the wrong guy, everything was fine. But it did help me to be able to understand, you know, how things might be, how someone might feel. And that's the whole thing, is to be able to empathize. I can never know exactly what you've gone through, you know, only what you tell me. I mean, it's a fact, you know, I'm white. So I can't say, I don't know if the word understand, but I empathize. You know what I'm saying? Is I can understand to the best of my abilities as you know, it's related to me. I mean, I don't want to upset anybody and say, oh, you're thinking, no, you know, I've got a little mileage on me. I've been through some things, you know what I'm saying? A lot of my friends have told me stories and whatnot. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Right.
You go on trips, you go to Imperial Session or whatnot, and there's going to be the stories come out. And I mean, I just a fly on the wall, and I'm like, damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like, and at this point in my life, it just doesn't surprise me anymore. It should, but unfortunately it doesn't, because of the state of race relations in the United States.
Right.
You know?
Have you ever been in a situation that because you're white and racial remarks were made, but they don't know you get down with the sisters or whoever you know, associate yourself
I scared
with?
the shit out of an Air Force pilot once. Yeah, we were doing airdrops in Fort Bragg. Interesting name, Fort Bragg. We know all about now Fort Bragg.
Yes.
Which needs to be changed. But anyways, so I quit drinking. That was 96, matter of fact. It was right before I became a brother, a Mason.
Right.
And so we went out there, and I had a crew bus, a wet van, and I was the designated driver. I was like, fine. So they're all out drinking and stuff, enlisted officers. And we went from one bar to another, and there was some pilots playing pool. And they did some kind of mess. And the pilot came by and put his arm around me and said, see that, Fred? That, and I don't say the word. That's you know what I mean? That's what he said. And I pushed him away, and I said, excuse me? I said, my daughter's black. And he's like, and I was like, you can get the fuck away from me. Right? He spent the whole night chasing me around, begging me for forgiveness and whatnot. The messed up thing was I was so close to actually I already had orders. And when I got back, I had like 3 weeks to get ready and leave. Or else I was going to go to, I think it was called social actions back then. What I did do is I told all the black enlisted members in the squadron, and then there were a couple of black pilots about him before I left. And in hindsight, I actually wish I had reported him. I don't know what would have happened, what would have happened to me, but it's just like that foolishness. You know, I've been at a table in the NCO club in Thule, Greenland, and we had a black pilot on board who was getting a certification, and the other pilot was a Southern boy who didn't really want to help him. And then you had other crew members on the other side of the table talking about chicken and watermelon. And I'm like, my God, this is the military. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Right.
You know, I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know, it just incredible. Now, granted, like I said, there were other black flight engineers, you know, and gray guys. And I guess they toned it down around them, but because I was white, and again, like you said, maybe not all of them knew. And it's just like, it's upsetting. I mean, and if it upsets me, I can only imagine how it upsets you.
Wow.
Why are we even having to deal with this in this day and age when we got bigger things and more important things to deal with? But unfortunately, it's a reality because, I mean, I can't speak for any other country, other than the United States, because this is where I'm from. We could talk about South Africa and all that stuff too. And we know it's a worldwide problem anyways. But for the United States, why are we still doing this? I don't get it. I mean,
You're right.
I mean, there's just so much foolishness, fuckery,
Yes.
ignorance, lack
Yeah,
of
yeah.
empathy.
Speak your mind.
I'm serious. I mean, it
Yeah.
just it gets to me. I
Yeah.
mean, and Urso, me is my roommate,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we, and you know how Urso rolls,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
even a little deeper than me. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Great guy.
Yes.
But I mean, we have talks too, and it's like he's more of a liberal and I'm more of a conservative.
Right.
But we still manage to to kind of find a midway
Mm-hmm.
where we can agree on things. And it's like there's a lot of things going on right now that I mean, it stokes us too,
Right.
because it's wrong. I mean, the politics nowadays. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll be honest. I've been a registered Republican my whole life.
Okay. Okay.
I'm voting for Biden,
Okay.
without a
Whoa.
doubt. I'm
Wow.
voting for Biden. Yeah, because we have a lunatic, an idiot, a narcissist, and a closet racist, and a failed businessman trying to run this country, and it's running it to the ground. And people keep making excuses for him.
Right.
I mean, he's an embarrassment to this country. I mean, it's the shit, and I mean the shit that comes out of his mouth. I'm embarrassed to be called an American. And honestly, I would prefer that there be a new party, a legitimate party,
Mm-hmm.
one that's more in the middle. Because unfortunately, at this point, we have two extremes, the far left and the far right. And neither one wants to meet in the middle and have discussions, normal, sane discussions. And we need something different. I mean, I've always been the best candidate,
Right.
but my leanings have always been, well, in the past, years ago, was more Republican, but now I consider myself more conservative. There's some things that that I can go with. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? But what we have now, I mean, we've dialed it back 30 years, maybe. We've
Yeah.
gone
Yeah.
backwards,
Yeah.
and
It's
and
hard
all
to
he's
believe.
been trying to do is undo what President Obama did. You
Yeah,
know,
it's hard to believe that here in 2020, man, we talking about this, man. It's amazing.
exactly.
The last election, did you vote Republican?
The last election, unfortunately, I voted for Trump. I
Okay.
will tell you
Okay.
this: I regret it horrifically, and
Okay.
let me tell you why. When I was in the Air Force, one of our missions was White House support. I've
Right.
carried the presidential memos all over the world for different presidents. All right. When you do that, you also carry the Secret Service and the comm gear. And all they would ever talk about is how horrible Hillary was. I mean, she treated people like shit. I mean, she's a criminal. And at the time, the lesser of two evils, I thought, big
Mm-hmm.
mistake, and I'm sorry, was voting for him. Big fucking mistake. Big fucking mistake. Although I think that the electoral college is what what really got him in. But still, my conscience is not good on that one. I'm being honest. It's not good at that one at all. I would have never have, and that's not, I guess, naivety on my part. I never expected it to get like this. But we put a kid in the candy shop.
Right. Do you feel that the statues that are coming down is the right thing? Before you answer that, though, I did some history on one of the guys that's with one of the statues that me and a white guy had a conversation because he just couldn't quite understand why, which was not his fault. Because some of the statues came up like say 1890, 1893. So of course, everybody died out. We don't know what happened. But when I told him the history, that one of the remarks one of those statues represented for one of those guys, that was on the statue, they was very racist. That a white man would never, that a black man would never be equal to a white man. So I told him, if you had a bunch of black people killing white folks, would you want a statue of me downtown Jacksonville representing it? He couldn't answer me. And I said, also in Germany, do you see a statue of Hitler? So go ahead.
Yep, and that's where I was going to head with that.
Okay.
It's typically the victors write the history.
Right.
You go to Germany, which I can't even count the many times I've been there. They have laws.
Mm-hmm.
The only place you're going to see any of that Nazi shit is in a museum.
Right.
There's laws. They don't allow it because it's wrong. And when you get a chance, jump on my page, my Facebook page, because I just reposted this thing about an ACLU lawyer talking exactly about those monuments, when they spiked, when the times and what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them were put up after the 1900s. All right.
Yeah.
And similar to what you said. I mean, so right off the bat, this came up after the Civil War. They lost. Don't tell me it was anything but about slavery. I think it's mentioned 20 times in their articles of secession. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it means. Those statues, they're of a failed organization. And most of them were failed generals for that matter.
Yes.
You know? So tell me how that's Southern heritage. Yeah, because that's what you grew up on and that's all you know. And all of a sudden somebody's ripping that away from you. All right. But you need to open your mind and understand that maybe that upsets some people. You know, maybe that's upsetting to have racism constantly pushed at you. Not like it's not already doing that, but this is just more so.
Yes. And I also told him that the reason why the statues went up, because back in those days, African Americans and others didn't have the rights to have a voice to vote on anything before they went up. So they automatically, they were going to go up in the city. So, and that's true.
Well, it was just, they were just taking back what they thought was theirs. In that video, again, he talks about Reconstruction. And I forget what he said, but there was at that time during Reconstruction, before the Dixiecrats and all that stuff happened and took that away, there was I think there was 2,000 elected black officials. And then I think there was it was a large number of registered black voters. And then after all that, and it went to hell again, there was only 5,000. But I mean, it was by design to hold people back. And it's it just boggles my mind that we've let it get this far. I mean, again, this is 2020, and as a corporation, you're finally going, maybe it's time we take Aunt Jemima. No, motherfucker, you should have done that 30, 40 years ago or whatever. Why is it now that people are upset? It's because it's the money.
Yeah.
It's all about the dollar. It's not about people. It's pandering.
Right.
It's pandering.
Mr. Smalls, you think the death of George Floyd changed the world with all the statues coming down and all the things along those lines, man?
Man, I think they finally taking us as a people seriously, man. It's not just only us that's tired of it, man. It's everybody in the whole world that's tired of seeing the same thing go on and on and on. And finally they saying, hey man, it's something that's got to be done. And they looking at it a little bit more deeper than just the surface now. It's no longer from this point on can we just ignore what's going on in this world, man, because they know now that the people are not going to just lay back and not say anything, man. We speaking up now, and I like to see that we are coming together, man, in that retrospect, man, to know that, hey, man, these things that we've been surrounded by all our lives, man, it's not actually right. It's wrong.
And for the first time in my life, bro, I've actually said, if I get pulled over for a ticket, am I going to live? I never thought that before, but now I do. Now I do.
Correct.
I never, had it on my mind, but, say a simple speeding ticket or whatever. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna make it out alive because of what's going on today. So, Mr. Frick, go ahead. You had something to say? Go ahead.
Man, I was just about to say, man, it's a scary situation, man. You know what I mean? Very scary.
All right. So, Mr. Frick, you think that Mr. Floyd changed the world a little bit, a little shake up?
Most definitely. He's a catalyst. I mean, there comes a time when people are they're just done. I mean, and forgive me, what was it, Aubrey?
Yes. Aubrey in Georgia, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was many more, but I think that's what really started elevating. Then the George Floyd, I mean, that just brought it basically to the tipping point. And then was it Rashard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brooks?
I
mean, that was just like the final straw. You can say what you want about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he fucked up, but just because he fucked up didn't mean it was okay to be shot in the back and
Right.
killed.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you could argue about, well, he had a stun gun and had he fired it on the officer, but he was running. He turned and turned back. His arm went back around. You could see it. And it's
Yes.
like, just because he's getting away and you fucked up and you couldn't contain him,
Yep.
that's not how you correct that. You knew who he was. You had the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, you'd run his ID.
Yeah.
He's not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think one of those officers is. I think they're going to get off. The one who was chasing him, facing forward with the stun gun. Remember, the other cop shot from behind. So the other
Right.
officer was running forward, chasing him with a stun gun. So I don't think he's going to get charged with murder.
Well, then again, though, that does say that they waited, I don't know, several minutes before they administered first aid.
Yeah.
So he's still going to be complicit. Now, in the heat of the moment, he can't control what the other officer did. I get that.
Right.
But yet and still, you could have performed first aid to the best of your abilities. And I mean, now granted, I'm not a policeman. I don't know what that department's training is, but I would assume that they have some rudimentary form of first aid training.
Yes.
So now he may not go down for murder. Well, I don't know. Then again, he may, but he's going to do some time, in my opinion. The biggest problem with stuff like that is that how those guys get off is the lawyers and and the prosecution and having to convince the jury. It's a lot of times that it's tough. I mean, we do have laws, and it's like sometimes they're constraining.
T. Smalls, you think he's gonna get off? I'm talking about the officer that was running forward now, that was chasing him, facing forward with the stun gun.
The
He
guy
didn't look back.
the guy
Yeah,
that
I know what
initially
you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so. It could be a possibility. Now, let me remind you now, when he actually had the stun gun, the guy that he used the stun gun on wasn't the police officer that shot him. So
Right.
in that retrospect, you gotta remind yourself that, hey man, it might be a possibility that he might get off, but it just all depends on what transpired. See, we only saw the part of the video where they allow us to see. Now, when you get the police body cam, you got everything on there. So we don't know what happened after the fact that, he got shot and what the conversation was afterwards. So, it's kind of like a gray area, and we didn't see the full video from when it transpired all the way to the end. They kind of cut it off, and I understand why, because of the respect of the family and everything. So it could be a possibility that he might get some time, and then it might not. It's kind of like a half and half situation, in my opinion.
Do you two gentlemen think that since the incident just happened in Atlanta, that a lot of cops now are kind of scared to use force? Because it seems like these cops getting charged for murder now, straight up. What y'all think?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is probably will begin to become some reluctance, only because of that. I mean, there's cameras everywhere these days and cell phones. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if you're gonna do dirty, you got to watch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, even I saw something to where somebody started recording, but they didn't let you know what happened before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was a reason why at this point the officer had done what he didn't kill anybody, but they were lambasting him because all the people were seeing was the moment somebody hit record. They didn't see what happened prior, what led them to that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's getting rougher. I mean, and that's because of others that have made it rougher for them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I do have friends in law enforcement. You do too, nobles, brothers, and I feel for them, because of others and the misdeeds of others have, and a history, I guess, in the United States of police brutality. But that's not saying all cops are that way. I mean, and all cops are not bad. There's plenty of good policemen, but there are some that they let it get to their head. I mean, think about too with Rashard. He was drunk.
Yeah, he was.
Obviously, he made some bad decisions because he was drunk. Those two policemen were stone cold sober. I hope. I'm sure they piss tested him.
Yeah.
Right afterwards.
Yeah.
But they had the ability to think. they've been trained for this thing. And when situations get out of hand,
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I
And
mean,
I agree. I agree.
I
And
mean, I wasn't in that head guy's mind, and I know it was a split-second decision, but still, you get paid to do that.
Yeah.
right.
That's what
Right.
you get paid for. That's your profession. You chose that profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was other ways to handle that situation. You know what I'm saying? I always look at the fact that he even though they had a call that it was a guy sleeping in the car, he didn't do a crime. He didn't commit a crime. You know what I'm saying? If you remember, the police officer asked him to pull into the little parking space and actually go to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
From that point, it should have been over. It should have been like, hey man, I smell alcohol. I didn't see you driving or commit a crime. You wasn't drinking and driving, but I smell alcohol. I can't let you drive, but can I call somebody to come pick you up? Can I take you somewhere? I mean, I can't let you drive or whatever. It shouldn't have never escalated to that to the extreme that it did. So like I said, man, somebody just made a phone call, and I want to believe that it was a concerned citizen, like, hey man, this man is fell asleep behind the wheel. Y'all should come check him out or whatever. And that's when the police supposed to have that that mindset of serving and protecting the public. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing on your mind. The last thing on your mind is to hurt somebody. You know what I'm saying?
That is correct. But I appreciate you, Fred, and tell your roommate he's avoiding me. I'm trying to get him up on here.
He's actually in Austin, Texas, with my brother working at my mom's house, getting ready to get sold.
Yeah,
So,
he been avoiding me for about 2 months, but I'm gonna
wow.
get him. I'm gonna get him.
Quick thing.
Go ahead.
How about this? What if that had been a white guy in that car?
Ooh.
Man, call your wife, call your girlfriend, get her over here, get out of here. You remember Dave Chappelle in his recent special?
Yeah.
And he's making a story with his friend.
Yeah.
Hey, relax. I've got this.
Yes.
Oh, officer. Oh, I didn't know I couldn't do that. Now you know. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would have been a whole pass.
Yeah.
Or it could have been. I mean, you're right,
Yeah, they would have been doing the same thing we're doing right now, laughing and giggling about it, and everybody go home to their families. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the guy wasn't disrespectful. I mean, you could tell he was drunk, and he went from margaritas to daiquiris to top shelf or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? But he wasn't disrespectful. He wasn't. I mean, up until I wanted to arrest him, he was okay. I mean, he was drunk.
Yes. Yeah. He was. Man, that's that's a trip to days and time we live in, man. It's that's just what it is. But I enjoyed you, man. I enjoyed you, T. Smalls. Fred, you're a little more thorough than I thought. I mean, I said, wow. Yeah.
Hey man, he got that light there, man. I see that light shining bright tonight.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Always. Never leaves me.
Well, go ahead, Fred. We're going to close out in a little quick prayer. Don't do no long-winded Baptist preaching or nothing now. But you can go ahead and close us out in a little prayer. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead, Fred. Yeah, go ahead, Fred. Yeah,
Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Grand Architect of the universe, thank you for bringing us here tonight to discuss race issues. I hope that you allowed me to express myself eloquently and watch over all of us in these hard times. Hopefully, this video will help some people to understand. We'll see, but that's your will, God. In these things we pray. Amen.
Amen. You did all right, Fred. I'm all right.
I'm an assistant district deputy grand master. I need to be able to pray.
Yeah. You all right? I mean, you were talking. I had to say, I said whoa a couple of times, but I like it. We keep it real. This is uncensored, and I like that, man.
Yep.
You did a good job.
Anytime you want to talk, I was had some reservations, but anytime you want to talk, I've still got more.
Oh, I know. We want you to say more. You just shoot me a message, and we good.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. Thanks for talking under the tree. I'm not sure if you're on the page. I don't know. There's so many people on there now. I might have sent you a link. I don't remember.
I think you did, but I just get so many invites, and it's like I just, I don't bite on all. I didn't even know what it was about. You want to send it to me again? That's fine. I mean, 'cause
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure you have other, after seeing this and participating, I'm sure there's other stuff that's really good.
Yeah,
But
you'll like it.
you've always got me if you want,
Right,
you know,
right,
an
right.
unbiased perspective, because like I
Right,
said,
right.
I understand how they
Right,
think,
right.
because I was of that mindset.
Okay, at least you're honest, man. That's respect.
And yeah, much respect about that, man.
Yeah,
Yep.
much respect. Well, y'all have a good night, gentlemen, and let's talk under the tree. We're gonna do it again.
Yes, sir. Good night.